Bobby Dean, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, when it comes to boxing, I say this all the time. At least 8 times out of 10, a boxer, thinker, technician, at least a good one, will always beat a good banger, puncher, aggressive fighter with power. Almost all the time, the technician will win. Congratulations to Viktor Postol for proving those stats to be accurate. I actually picked Viktor Postol to win this fight, and from the looks of it, it looked like from the second round on, you could pretty much see that it was going to be a very difficult night for Lucas Matthysse in this fight. With the height, with the range, the fact that Viktor Postol, he knew how to take advantage of his range and his distance with that jab, and he also knew how to nullify Lucas Matthysse' best weapon, which was his left hook. You could see Lucas Matthysse, he was desperately trying to land that left hook in the first half, but I got to give Matthysse a little bit of credit because after about the first 4 rounds, or the first 4 or 5 rounds, Lucas, he realized he wasn't going to land that left hook because Postol, he had his right hand glued to his chin. So I was wondering, was Matthysse going to adjust or try to adjust and start throwing the right hand since Postol was so focused on the left hook? And that's what Matthysse did. Later on, I guess it was around probably the 6th and the 7th round, all of a sudden Matthysse, he started to explode with right hands and he was landing them. But then this is when you got to give more credit to Postol because then he adjusted. This is what makes a thinker and a technician so difficult to beat. Because a lot of fighters, if you watch a lot of these fights, you'll notice a guy will get caught with the same punch all night, right? He may block some of them, but pretty much throughout the night, he's getting caught with the same punch. But a very good technician will learn from his mistakes in a couple of rounds and learn how to take away that fighter's best weapon or his second best weapon, whatever the case may be. Because like I said, Postol, he took away Matthysse' left hook early in the fight. Then later on, he pretty much took away Matthysse' right hand. One of the ways Postol took away that right hand was foot movement. Very, very impressive foot movement. And a lot of people don't realize how foot movement works if you're using it the right way. You see, Lucas Matthysse, he realized he was losing a lot of the early rounds. So that forced him to be more aggressive. But being more aggressive forced him to be more reckless. Now, when he started charging in after Viktor Postol, this is how Postol took away some of his best weapons. He used the foot movement to discourage and frustrate Lucas Matthysse. And it worked. Because as the fight progressed, the distance just got wider and wider, which was a good thing for Viktor Postol and not such a good thing for Lucas Matthysse. This is when Postol basically took over with combinations. Like I said, once again, everything was set up with the jab. He would use foot movement to confuse Matthysse. And then once Matthysse stopped charging in, this is when Postol would jump on Matthysse with combinations. Then in the 10th round, we seen a very impressive pull counter, which is very similar to the one we always see Floyd Mayweather land. He threw a pull counter over Matthysse' jab and knocked Matthysse out with a perfect right hand straight to his eye. I am very, very impressed with Viktor Postol's skills. This was a very good night of boxing. In the same night, we get 2 champions crowned at the super lightweight division, Adrian Broner and now Viktor Postol. This is where I want to talk about the ridiculous stereotypes that a lot of decafs create in the sport of boxing. And a lot of times you have the king of the decafs, Jim Lampley, who is basically perpetuating this type of propaganda. In the first couple of rounds, as Postol started to pull ahead, Jim Lampley, he said something that didn't make any sense to me. He said, with Viktor Postol fighting this lower risk style, he gives Matthysse even less of a chance to win. You're not supposed to give your opponent any chance, right? Why would you be in there saying, let me give Matthysse just a little bit of a chance to win the fight? It doesn't make any sense. And to say that Viktor Postol is fighting a lower risk style, how is that possible if Viktor Postol is throwing double the amount of punches that Matthysse is throwing? For Matthysse to be as aggressive and have the reputation that he has, Matthysse was fighting a safety first type of fight, which you don't expect from one of these quote unquote tough guys, right? Once again, Postol was the one that was doubling punches thrown in the fight. There was a lot of times when Matthysse was just throwing one punch at a time. And thank God you have Roy Jones to balance things out a lot of times, because once again, when you have people like Jim Lampley and fans, they seem to always stereotype the puncher versus the boxer. In people like Jim Lampley's eyes, or even Max Kellerman in this case, they just can't see the technician as winning a fight by knockout. Only person that could win this fight by knockout is Lucas Matthysse. Let Jim Lampley tell it, right? They kept saying this, Max kept saying it, but it was Roy Jones that said, I think Matthysse is the one that has to worry about being knocked out. They kept saying, how is Postol going to deal with Matthysse punches, as the fight progresses? And Roy Jones was like, well, I want to know how Matthysse is going to deal with Postol shots, because Matthysse is the one that's getting hit with a lot of punches. And it turned out that Roy Jones was right, because by the 10th round, Postol wasn't on the ground. It was Matthysse on the ground, on one knee. And it was Matthysse that chose to stay on the ground and not get up. Once again, this is where the stereotypes come in. If you listen to a decaf, they'll try to tell you that, boxers are cowards, they don't have the heart, they're not as tough, etc., etc. But if you guys really look at the statistics in the sport of boxing, what you will find out is probably more than half the time, the fighter that actually quits or decides not to get up or come out of the corner, in between rounds, is usually one of those quote unquote tough guys. Now, I'm not telling you the technicians don't quit, but if you look at the majority of times fighters quit, it was some of the quote unquote toughest guys in the sport of boxing, right? All the way from Roberto Duran to Angulo to Yuri Boy Campos. If you guys really, follow your boxing, Yuri Boy Campos, he was looked at as the second coming of Julio Cesar Chavez. He had a record that was very similar to Julio Cesar Chavez, very aggressive Chavez style, and he was undefeated. Yuri Boy Campos, his career, he started to build a reputation of quitting when the going got really tough, okay? Mike Tyson has been known to quit in fights. The great Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., he quit in fights. And of course his son, Chavez Jr., just recently quit. And now we have Lucas Matthysse. It's funny how the decafs, they'll accuse a fighter who's on a coincidental list as being a coward, and his health comes first, right? Now you have Lucas Matthysse, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but you have Lucas Matthysse who said, I could have got up, but I chose to stay down because I felt something pop in my eye when he hit me, right? That's understandable. But what I'm saying is we have to get away from this stereotype where the tough guy, he can quit whenever he wants. But then at the same time, when it comes to the fighter who's smart and doesn't get hit, that's the guy that you guys want to call cowards. Scared, reluctant, not exciting, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to Lucas Matthysse, you guys want excitement, blood, guts, because we've seen Artur Gatti. We've seen Artur Gatti and Mickey Ward be all busted up and continue to fight. I'm not saying that Lucas Matthysse, he's a coward and he should have fought, But the point that I'm making is we need to treat all these fighters the same way, because all fighters are created equal. You decafs claim you like to see blood and guts and a fighter that's willing to fight for the fans and just be fan friendly, right? But you know what Lucas Matthysse said? He said, damn that. I ain't about to go blind in one eye over no damn fans. My health comes first. So anyway, congratulations to Viktor Postol. This creates somewhat of a super fight in the 140-pound division. Terrence Crawford versus Viktor Postol. I was going to talk a little bit about that fight in this video, but I've decided to just do a separate video and talk more about that potential matchup. Of course, Terrence Crawford, he has to get past Deary John in the next 3 weeks, which I project we all expect him to get past that test. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I'll talk a little bit more about a possible fight between Terrence Crawford and Viktor Postol in another video. For now, that's all I got. I'm on to the next one.